Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 79 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I'm your host, Joe Lady Pavlon. My co-host, Justin Ebert, with me tonight. And hopefully later on we'll get Daniel Ford. But for now, it's just me and Justin, and we're going to get into this action-packed weekend of motorsports. Talladega Super Speedway, another classic 500-miler at Talladega that exceeded the race distance. It went into overtime. It took about 3 attempts or something, and and of course chaos at the end, and then the penalties. 3 separate penalties at the yellow line. It's in the title. The name of our podcast is literally the story of the NASCAR Cup Series yesterday. Let's just get into the finishing order. Denny Hamlin locks himself into the round of 8 after winning for the second time at Talladega in his career. It's the 44th win of Hamlin's career. Hamlin now ties Bill Elliott for 18th on the all-time wins list. Hamlin led 26 laps after drawing pole off the metric system.
Yeah, that's why it's called, if people don't know, that the qualifying lineup's a metric system, and every Wednesday that's when the starting lineups are released, so in 2 days from now.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the metric system is different from drawing for pole. They take your average finish and average
fastest
speed.
lap. Yeah, like Brad had the fastest lap at Talladega with 204.652 miles an hour. Like, they take fastest lap in different components to get the starting lineup.
So with that said, Denny Hamlin is in the round of 8, sealed and secured.
Yep.
Move on.
Yep.
Not have to worry about that Roval at Charlotte, even if he's that many points high. Erik Jones scored second. Why did Erik Jones finish second?
People don't know what happened yesterday. If you haven't watched the race for some reason, because it did end on NBCSN, Erik Jones got second after Matt DiBenedetto off turn 4. People didn't remember. He forced William Byron below the line, which, remember to last year at Talladega, Johnny Sauter got penalized for forcing Riley Herbst below the line. So they penalized DiBenedetto, which they did last year, so they did this year because they just saw what happened. That's why Erik Jones did get second place. And they gave DiBenedetto 21st place.
Let's just say 3 components. We're at the finishing order here. William Byron and Matt DiBenedetto off turn 4 made contact. DiBenedetto was deep forcing Byron's car underneath the yellow line, which was a controversial call, whether given or not handed out by NASCAR. Denny Hamlin's car, Hamlin, in order to avoid contact with Byron and DiBenedetto, who's in front of Byron, moved low underneath the yellow line. Passing out of bounds at that track is illegal. Would typically result in a penalty, but they called Hamlin's pass legal as he intended to avoid an incident. And then DiBenedetto's second place was basically DiBenedetto physically crossed the line second, which fans thought he should have won the race.
But there's another component about different people. If they would have crashed off turn number 4 there, another driver who got 3rd but would have been 4th originally, Ty Dillon would have probably won if they would have wrecked. Like, Ty Dillon was there in the good position in 4th place, and then he got 3rd, but also, Stenhouse and Erik Jones also made contact off turn 4. They got squirrely, and Ty Dillon was there in the mix, and then which
Ty Dillon's career best finish of 3rd. He finished 4th at Daytona last year.
Yep.
In the summer race. One spot better. Well done for Ty Dillon.
Yep.
And by the way, I forgot to mention, Erik Jones did lead 13 laps, and that race was very important for Jones, as he is still unknown in 2021. Where will he go?
Yeah.
We'll have to find out. And Erik Jones is a very talented driver, so he drove his heart out. Ty Dillon also has no idea where he'll be in 2021. Some say Xfinity. We'll have to find out. William Byron had a shot to win the race, was actually leading for a split second off turn 4 in the middle of a 3-wide situation.
Yeah.
Byron only led 1 lap. He finished 4th. Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott got 5th after he would have got if you didn't know, why was he in the 20s at the initial thing? He was put on the apron by Chris Buescher. So Chase Elliott, not NASCAR that realized it, Chase Elliott really went to the officials and demanded Buescher to get penalized. And that's how Buescher got his penalty.
They filed a formal protest against the results.
And they put Buescher 22nd behind DiBenedetto.
Right. And that was lucky on Elliott's part, because Elliott had a really close chance of winning this thing. If the caution didn't come out for that wreck on the tri-oval, entering the white flag at the earlier overtime attempt, Chase Elliott would have very well had that race won. And Elliott led 41 laps after starting 10.
Yeah. And he had low fuel also, like many others.
Oh, they were awfully close to running out. Matt DiBenedetto especially.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move down the results. Ryan Newman finished 6th place, and Newman scored a very needed top 10 finish. I think it's his first top 10 since Daytona, when that horrifying crash happened after nearly winning the Daytona 500. Just a split second later, upside down in the air.
Yeah,
finishing 9th. This time he finishes 6th. Much more satisfying race than most of the races this season. He has not scored a top 10. Tyler Reddick led 2 laps, and he was part of that first incident on the opening lap, and started 30th and should finish 7th. John Hunter Nemechek, for the second time in his career, scores a best finish in the Cup Series of 8th. Yep. Nemechek started 23rd. Brendan Poole scored a career best finish of 9th after starting 32nd. And Ryan Preece gets another top 10 in 2020 for the second time this year. Will finish in the top 10. Preece started 25th.
Yeah.
All right, now let's take a look at some of the notables. I had to do a lot of writing to make sure I get everything right, as there are many changes in the results. Austin Dillon finished 12th. As for Austin Dillon,
he
third highest playoff driver.
Yeah.
Dillon started 12th. He finished 12th. Quinn Houff, 13th, his career best finish after starting 33rd. Well done for Starcom Racing. Alex Bowman had a very eventful race yesterday.
And with his crash with Eric Amarala. And if you didn't notice, if you don't know how many pit stops he made 13 pit stops and 11 to repair the damage. And you saw all that tape on the left front, and he still was in the draft. At some points he was in the draft. I'm like, how is he still keeping up with the draft with all that damage?
All that tape reminds me of a chemistry project I did years ago. Let's move down. Joey Gase. How about Joey Gase? If you're watching, Joey, congratulations on 17th career best finish.
Yep.
Joey Gase started 36th, driving for Rick Ware Racing.
Yep.
Brad Keselowski, playoff driver, led 6 laps, started 7th, finished in the 18th spot. Cody Ware. Cody Ware had a great car and a one-off start for the driver who was part of the Asian Le Mans Series winning team.
Yep.
Ware led 1 lap. It's his first career top 20 finish, career best for Cody.
Yeah. And which, if you didn't notice where he was at one point, he was in 6th place at one point in the draft. I'm like, Joseph, you were not paying attention. I'm like, Cody Ware's in 6th, and you notice the 27. It's like, We did not expect that car to run up there for a bit, but he was there.
Brickyard Racing definitely saved their resources for this one. Kevin Harvick finished 20th after an eventful race. He led 2 laps, started 5th, was involved in multiple incidents on the racetrack. Now let's talk about 21st and 22nd, as we mentioned earlier, Matt DiBenedetto and Chris Buescher. So DiBenedetto physically crossed the line second. There are people who say he should win the race, which is a somewhat understandable argument.
But the thing with Byron, that's the thing. Nobody... Right. Yeah.
And there are also people who say that DiBenedetto, people like me, say DiBenedetto should not have been credited the win, but should keep the second place finish. DiBenedetto led 10 laps and started 13th. And then Chris Buescher, who won stage 1 and led 15 laps, I think he was 5th place physically across the line. 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
And Buescher was also sent to the end of the lead lap after forcing Chase Elliott underneath the yellow line, coming to the checkered flag. All right, now let's get into some of the drivers who are less fortunate in this one. Martin Truex Jr., 23rd after winning stage 2 and leading 6 laps. The Joe Gibbs Racing driver continues misfortune at Talladega. This time off the lead lap. Martin Truex Jr., 2 laps off the pace and still finished, but it's just could have been better for the 2017 champion. 24th, Bubba Wallace led 10 laps. Boy, he had a good car. Stayed out of trouble until the very end and involved in 2 incidents and retired on lap 192, of course, past schedule distance, and finished 24th. Ryan Blaney will not win 3 in a row. It was close, believe it or not, after that first wreck. Blaney came back with that damaged race car. It was in that front group of cars in the draft, and it just fell out after that contact.
Yeah.
With Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney led 10 laps and finished 25th. Joey Logano, Blaney's teammate, led 45 laps in the race, more than any other driver, and Logano finished 26th out of the race.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch, 27th after starting 6th, and then we go back many laps behind. This is now from the cars involved in the big one on lap 108.
Oh, this crash. Yeah.
Playoff drivers Kurt Busch, who started second, is credited with a 32nd place finish after retiring on lap 108, as well as Clint Bowyer, a 33rd place finish for Bowyer after starting 9th. That wreck also took out Daniel Suarez. Jimmy Johnson had damage, and Brendan Gaughan, final NASCAR Cup Series race.
Yeah, like the thing with Brendan Gaughan, and people are wondering, how did he get involved? The reason he got involved, Kyle Busch tried to, miss the wreck. He spun up the track, and Brendan Gaughan came out of nowhere and got front damage from hitting his right side. People said Kyle Busch did that on purpose. I'm like, no. He just tried to avoid 2 cars, and when you hit the apron and hit it a couple times, you get sideways. These cars are not the easiest to drive. Which that's the reason Brendan Gaughan was out of the race in that number 62, which could have had a good car if he could have avoided these wrecks. He could have had a good car and finished really good in his final start.
Right, and it's unfortunate, but sad to see Brendan Gaughan, his final race, and earlier than expected. He was driving well in the other race at these kinds of tracks, so it is what it is. And last but not least, Aric Almirola led 9 laps and retired in the first multi-car crash, finishing 37th. So there are the results. And they'll be back next week for the Charlotte Roval, the road course at Charlotte, round 32-36, and the final race of the round of 12.
Yep. Wait, did you say the point standings, Joseph?
Yeah, we're going to get into that in just a minute.
Okay.
All right, let's get into the point standings. So with Denny Hamlin's win yesterday, he is now locked into the round of 8. Las Vegas and Talladega are now leaving just the Charlotte Roval to close out the round of 12. Kurt Busch, with that win at Las Vegas 2 weeks ago, is locked in. So he has nothing to worry about. And then the drivers off points, starting with Kevin Harvick, plus 68. Sounds like a wrap to me. Chase Elliott, plus 44. Brad Keselowski, plus 41. Martin Truex Jr., plus 32. 7th, Alex Bowman, plus 22. And Joey Logano, plus 21. Kyle Busch is the first driver outside the cut line. Now, Kyle Busch is 21, as well as Austin Dillon, 9th and 10th. Clint Boyer, 11th, minus 38. And 12th, Eric Almirola, minus 48. That puts Boyer and Almirola virtually in a must-win situation.
Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch might be at one point in the race, because if you don't know where people's average finish, Kyle Busch's average finish at the Roval was 34.5, which is not the best thing you want going into a race that you're below the cut line. Compared to last year, Kyle was, way above. This year, he's below it entering the Roval, which is not a thing you want to be doing right now, being below the cut line heading into that Roval race.
And who knows what it's going to look like without practice and qualifying. We saw many flaws with these drivers in the first 2 races that were held at the Charlotte Roval, 2018, 2019. Many spins and contact barriers.
Cutting the chicane like Ryan Newman did last year.
Wheel hopping.
Like Alex Bowman last year thought he was done after a couple incidents, but still, or Chase Elliott, what he did in 2018 and 19, and or Brad Keselowski's late race restart where everybody followed him in the barrier.
It looked like the Macau Grand Prix for a moment.
Yeah, it's like everybody went just straight. It's like interesting.
Yeah. So of the drivers, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, is it safe to say they're in the safe spot around points?
I say Harvick is definitely safe on points. Chase, after probably stage 1, if he gets stage points in stage 1, he's safe. Keselowski basically has to just do good in the stages to make sure he's secure. Those 3 drivers are basically quite safe. Just below them, that's where it gets close.
Now, how valuable will stage points be for the drivers like Martin Truex Jr., Alex Bowman, Joe Logano, or even Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon?
Yeah, they need all the stage points they could get. But even just stage points for them, the maximum stage points you could get is 10 in each stage, but it's kind of hard sometimes. It depends where they're going to start, because with the playoff drivers all start in the first 12 positions. So basically, it just depends the metric qualifying they're doing. Wherever they could start first, somebody could start first that is good on points, and person that's less good, probably Eric Almirola, for example, he might be starting 12 because he was, in the playoff drivers, he was one of the first retirements. So he might be starting 12th, and the Roval, people are going to be aggressive behind. Like, even they're not in the playoffs, there's going to be people really aggressive going to turn 1.
You need to test your brakes. How much in the car here? What makes the car unhappy? What contains the car from overheating? Where are your shifting points? They don't have practice. They don't have qualifying. They have their sim racing.
Yeah,
but how much can you really translate it until the real thing happens on Sunday?
Yeah, because it's like, the thing is, it's like, it's going to be hard for some of these drivers. Like, there's some drivers that overcame a lot. Like Alex Bowman last year, who he was supposed to start second, crashed in final practice, spun on lap number 1, got into a couple incidents, and he actually got spun in turn 1 after contact with Eric Jones. They spun each other out, and then Alex Bowman came back to finish second. Like, there's maybe some drivers that will fight to get up to the front after a couple incidents like that.
We'll have to see what happens. All right, time to talk Xfinity. The NASCAR Xfinity Series made a rare second trip to Talladega Superspeedway in the same season. I don't think that's ever happened before since the first time they raced Talladega 92.
Yeah, it's never happened. So, first time for this Xfinity Series, running 2 races at Talladega.
Yeah, much cooler conditions compared to the last time they came to the track. There were different strategies. We saw a lot of comers, goers. In the end, again, it was Justin Haley. Justin Haley picked up his 3rd career win after leading just 2 laps at the end. Justin Haley was at the right place at the right time. With that victory, he has now secured a spot into the round of 8. That's the second race in the round of 12, mind you, the 28th race of the season. Ryan Sieg, for the second time in his career, picked up a career best finish, and we'll talk about why that is later when we get down the results. Noah Gragson, another playoff driver, led 2 laps and finished 3rd after starting 3rd. Brandon Jones led 1 lap, started 10th, finished 4th. Daniel Hemrick started 5th, finished 5th. Ross Chastain had a very eventful race, to say the least. He finished 6th after starting 13th. Josh Williams. How about Josh Williams driving for Mario Goslin?
Yeah, 7th.
Very good.
Another one that finished really good was Garrett Smithley. He finished 8th, which I do watch his Twitch streams. He actually said he has pressure because that 07 has finished 8th, 2nd, and 8th now at the plate tracks, that 07 car. And he did bring it home 8th and almost got in that big one on the backstretch.
Boy, Garrett Smith was one lucky customer at the end of that. Brandon Brown, playoff driver, led 4 laps, started 14th, finished 9th, and Alex LeBay brings out the top 10. So double top 10 for Mario Goslin's team. That's a very impressive race for them.
Yep. And yes, Joseph, I did put 90% chance of rain for both races at Charlotte this weekend. That's going to make it that's going to make it more interesting.
All right, let's get down to some notables here. Finishing P11, Chad Fincham, career best finish of 11th after running 32nd. He stayed out of all the trouble. Home in 11th.
Yep.
Chase Briscoe, playoff driver, won stage 1, stage 2 at 73 laps from the pole. A tangle up in the final laps of the race results in a 19th place finish.
I thought he was going to wreck. When I'm like, oh, he's sideways, and that save wasn't so incredible.
It was surreal.
Yeah.
And 23rd was Harrison Burton after starting in 11th. AJ Allmendinger led 24 laps driving for Colleague Racing.
Yeah.
And he crashed out at the end, finishing 24th after starting 36. Jesse Little was also involved in the contact.
Yeah.
Little led 5 laps and started 20th. Justin Allgaier, playoff driver, led 1 lap. He did not need that 29th place finish.
Yeah.
Austin Cindric and Riley Herbst were involved in an accident, finishing 34th and 35th, both playoff drivers, in 2 different scenarios. Cindric is in the good. Herbst needs some sort of luck. I don't know what kind of luck that is, but he's going to need it.
But Charlotte has a chance to reign, so that's going to make it more interesting than ever.
Boy. And in 37th, physically crossing the line second, was Michael Annett. Boy, that would have had a huge, huge boost in points had he not failed his car failed tech inspection.
Yeah,
after resulting in a DQ.
Yeah, his ride height was too tall compared to everyone else. And which people are wondering why, and there's still people wondering, why did they bring out the yellow? There's a thing in NASCAR that I heard about. There's two ways that they bring out a yellow. One is if there's a car on fire, which Harrison Burton was kind of on fire, but the second incident is if there's a car that's off the ground. I remember looking at a replay. In the back, Jesse Little and Mine Snyder's cars were off the... Like, Jesse Little's car was a little, like, off the ground a little bit. And there's cars still going at full speed. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. The race has been green for, like, the final 10 laps. And and you have cars going at full speed. Under green conditions, it would not have made sense.
Yeah, so that's one reason they brought out the yellow, but probably if they even finished under green, probably Haley would have blocked anyway.
Yeah, Haley did the right thing. Stayed out of trouble and brought it home in one piece in victory lane.
Yeah, my pick.
Talladega.
Yeah, and my pick, H. Allmendinger, he crashed in the big one on the backstretch there.
Right.
That was,
So with 2 races complete in the round of 12. So the next race will be the Charlotte Road Course, and it'll be round 29, and the final race of the round of 12. So Las Vegas and Talladega are in the books. The Charlotte Roval is all what's left. Chase Briscoe and Justin Haley are in the good from their wins, advanced into the next round. Austin Cindric is plus 50 in third. Noah Gragson plus 47. Brandon Jones plus 34. Ryan Sieg plus 27. Justin Allgaier plus 19. And Ross Chastain, the last driver in the good, plus 7. He's going to need a near perfect race. Harrison Burton is the first driver underneath the cut line, surprisingly. Minus 7.
Yeah.
Brandon Brown, minus 19. And these 2 drivers are almost in a must-win situation. Riley Herbst, minus 36, and Michael Annett, minus 38.
Yeah, now they'll need to win because stages, you get maximum 20 points. That's the thing. But with the metric qualifying the top 12, because there's 12 in the playoffs, but also for the Cup Series, but for the Xfinity Series, it works differently. It's not the top 12. They might be the lowest. Usually I see is 13th and 14th. The reason is because the owner points have playoffs, and the 8 and the 21 RCR and Junior Motorsports cars, they're in the playoffs for that, for the owner's points. So they're going to be most likely up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you have Kaz Gralla, he'll be in the 21 this weekend, and Hemrick in the 8. So lowest anybody will start for the playoffs is 14th, about 14th place, that area. They'll have to get up there to try to get points, because them not getting stage points is really going to hurt them.
It will. It definitely will if your name is Ross Chastain or Harrison Burton. Or even Justin Allgaier. Allgaier expected a much better outcome at Talladega. That was not a race.
Yeah, he had engine issues. Remember when that first red flag came out? Right as Allgaier refired the car, it started smoking from the tailpipes. So so we had engines issues on that 7 car.
So with that said, let's go ahead and talk some trucks. The NASCAR Gander RV Outdoors Truck Series made an appearance at Talladega Superspeedway.
The final race of the round of 10.
Yep, the 19th race of the season. So this race was nothing short of chaotic.
Yeah.
Raphael Lessard.
Yep.
I said that right. Raphael Lessard, driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports from Joseph de Butte, Quebec.
Yep.
Picked up his first career win in the NASCAR Truck Series after leading just the final lap.
Yep. Oh my, I never expected him Like, people are like, oh, he's not doing what Kyle Busch wants to be in the playoffs and all that. I'm like, he's still a rookie. Rookies don't outperform. Like, I know Chris Neckis, he's been in the trucks longer than Lessard, but, like, you can't outperform the big dogs yet. You have to learn, and it was only his second start at a super speedway. He only made one other start, which was Daytona, and he crashed out sadly, but this time he really did good.
Awfully impressive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, first career win for Raphael Lessard. And in second, almost winning, was Trevor Bain, the 2011 Daytona 500 champion.
Yep.
Trevor Bain started 25th, and that is his career best finish in the NASCAR Truck Series. They were actually side by side when the caution came out, entering turn 3 in the final lap, and it was Lessard.
Yeah, like, I saw a photo of someone, a NASCAR official posted. Right as the caution came out, he took a photo of when the caution came out. Lessard was ahead by 6 1/1000ths. It was a close finish, but like, there was a truck on fire. Like I explained, if there was a truck on fire, like Austin Hill, you saw his truck was blazing on fire. So that's why they threw the yellow, and other trucks were going there full speed behind the wreck.
Right. All right, moving down the list. Chandler Smith led one lap and finished third. So 2 Kyle Busch trucks on the podium.
Yep.
Ben Rhodes, the highest playoff driver, finished 4th in the race. Rhodes started 11th.
Yeah.
Cody Warbaugh, second career top 5.
Yep. Yeah, good run for that number 9 truck. He had a good truck. Stayed out of trouble and managed the top 5.
Jordan Anderson needed top 10 there. Anderson finished 6th in his owner-driver effort. Brett Moffitt finished in 7th, stayed out of trouble, led 13 laps, and started 8th. He's into the next round.
Yeah.
Matt Crafton had a frustrating race. He was kind of kicking himself.
Oh, yeah. He was not too happy with himself. And not happy with his teammates. Like, he was mad that Sauter and Enfinger won't draft with him. He was not too happy with them. But he still managed to get 8th.
Very good. How about this? 9th place, Kaz Gralla, who had not driven in the Truck Series since Homestead of 2017, returns of a relief driver effort with Natalie Decker.
Yep.
Was not medically cleared to race. Kaz Gralla was tapped to drive the 44 for Nice Motorsports, and he brings it home in the 9th spot. Gralla started 28th.
Yeah, good run for Kaz Gralla, which right as I heard about that announcement last week, I'm like, okay, Gralla is a good replacement driver pick. I've seen him do good in the trucks and all that, so I knew he was going to bring home in one piece, and he did.
Very good. All right, let's move on to the notables outside the top 10. We're going to start with Johnny Sauter. Johnny Sauter led 11 laps. Oh, let's not forget 10th place, Derek Kraus. Stage 2 winner, led 19 laps in the race.
Which is the most.
Yeah.
But you don't, later you'll know who led the second most. We're not going to spoil that.
Yeah, You'll be surprised. Finishing 11th, Johnny Sauter led 11 laps, started 14th. 12th place from the pole, Sheldon Creed. Creed led 10 laps. This race was not dominated by one specific driver. There was a wide variety of competition on Saturday.
Yeah, there was not just one driver leading the whole thing. No, there was many drivers in contention there.
Right. Grant Enfinger, 13th, moves on to the next round. Tyler Ankrum finished 16th. He survived and is on to the next round as well. Stuart Friesen was involved in that last lap crash. He actually led entering the final lap.
Yeah, and he started falling back, and Eckes made contact with him.
Right. Eckes is not going on to the next round. He's one of 2 drivers to be eliminated from the round, from the playoffs after this race. Both drivers led 6 laps in their Toyotas respectively, and Eckes did not finish the race. Austin Hill, who won Stage 1, led 11 laps, was also involved in the crash. He did not finish the final lap as well. Hill started 2nd. In 24th place, Jennifer Jo Cobb. Yes, you heard that right. Jennifer Jo Cobb, the back marker owner driver, led 16 laps in the race. Second highest of any driver in the event.
Yeah, you did hear that right. She stayed out with Brian Dowsett was running second behind her. They stayed out when people were pitting, and they were just going around the track.
Waiting for that caution that never came out.
Yep.
Good effort for Jen nonetheless. And 28th out of the playoffs and retired from the race was Todd Gill. And Todd Gill was involved in an earlier accident.
No, he had a blown engine.
Oh, yeah, he had a blown engine. That I forgot. It wasn't an accident. It looked like an accident, and then
he blew an engine. Tanner Gray spun behind him in the oil in the 15 truck. Yeah, which really sucked for Todd Gill, and he had a good truck. He was running up front, top 10, had a shot of winning until his motor let go on that number 38 Ford.
And let's move down the list. Zane Smith did get in an early race accident. Zane Smith, playoff driver, survived the cut line. He did not survive the race, but he survived the cut line.
Yeah.
And ready to go in 2 weeks at Kansas for the round of 8, but he retired, finishing 33rd.
Yeah,
and lastly, Joe Nemechek, in a one-off start, retired after being in the big one, finishing 37th. Yep. All right, Danny, how's it going?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm a little bit late, but I'm here. So, you guys were talking about the playoffs for the Truck Series. So Todd Gilliland is pretty much done.
Yeah, he is done. He got eliminated.
Yes, and also
Christian
Eckes, yes.
Yeah, those are the two eliminated after Eckes crashing on the final lap and Todd Gilliland blowing a motor in the race.
So the round of 10 is done, which leaves us to the round of 8. 3 tracks in the round of 8. 2 are similar but different. One, of course, is a short track. Start with Kansas. It begins in 2 weeks from now, and then Texas Speedway and Martinsville Speedway.
And
the round of 8.
But do you know what's interesting if people don't pay attention to NASCAR? Because this Texas race that's here is the one from June. Because the one that they showed in July was the one that was in March. So this race, instead of airing on Saturday night or Friday, this race is at 11 a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah.
11 a.m. Eastern, which is an interesting start time because they really want to get the Cup Series in the afternoon. Yeah, interesting. So sorry for the people that have to wake up.
All right, let's check out which drivers are in the round of 8. We'll start off with the 2 drivers actually first and second tied with 3,028 points, 28 bonus points. So with this round, everyone starts at 3,000 points.
Yeah, and then
plus the number of bonus points. So 3-0, and then number of bonus points you have. So 3,028. Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, they're first and second, tied in the first seed. Third is Zane Smith plus 22 with 22 bonus points.
Yeah.
Fourth, Grant Enfinger, 19 bonus points. Fifth with 16 bonus points, Brett Moffitt. Sixth with 14 bonus points, Ben Rhodes. Seventh with 9 bonus points, Matt Crafton. And eighth with 3 bonus points, Tyler Ankrum. This round contains 3 races, and the final 4 will be determined.
Yeah, after the 3 races, which ends at Martinsville,
yes,
4 drivers will be gone, and that will determine the final 4 at Phoenix.
So, and for a quick question about the race about Martinsville, will the Xfinity Series be at Martinsville?
Yes, they are on Saturday. Yeah.
So that will probably be the first time for the Xfinity Series being at Martinsville.
The first time since, the last time was 2006.
Yes.
Yeah, 14 years since the last time Xfinity went there. Yeah.
Yeah, as for trucks, and obviously they get the week off.
They're not
Cup Series, they go
to the Roval
at the end of the year.
Yeah,
trucks they have
a week off.
Right.
Yeah, they have an off week till they go to Kansas on the 17th of October on Fox. Just to let it's on an FS1. Somehow I don't know how they got around college football. They're putting on the truck race on Fox from Kansas.
Well, that's just made the race stakes even higher.
Yep.
But Kansas, there were 2 races earlier this year.
Yeah, those were the first race was, but the race on Saturday afternoon, the last time we went there with Crafton winning, that race was interesting.
Very.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and talk some IndyCar. Get into the Harvest Grand Prix at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for rounds 12 and 13 of 14, the penultimate race weekend of the 2020 season. In race 1 and race 2 were both opportunities for Scott Dixon to clinch his sixth drivers' championship in IndyCar. Race 1 included, but it was Josef Newgarden, the man chasing Dixon, searching for his 3rd title and 2nd straight, would pull through and win. He led 34 laps after starting 2nd, which means Newgarden had the most laps led, which means extra points.
Yes.
And that was his 17th career win and 34th career podium.
Also in the second race, Will Power gets his 2nd win of the season, and that is also another race where Dixon's chances of clinching the title slip right through his hands.
Yeah, which if people wondering, was there any other lead changes? No. Will Power led all 75 laps.
What a dominant performance. I know Ian Perez 48 is definitely happy about that.
Yeah, he just even when he was pitting, making his pit stops, he still was ahead. That's how big his gap was, and he's like, yep, I'm going to win. I'm just going to drive my car and win.
Well, let's get into race 1, though.
Yeah.
As I said, Newgarden, most laps led. That was a very important extra dose of points. 34 laps led, scored the win, and then let's keep on talking race 1 here. Alexander Rossi picked up his 23rd career podium, finishing 2nd. Rinus VeeKay from pole, his 1st career pole, got the fastest lap and led 15 laps to pick up his 1st career podium. For Rinus VeeKay, the young Dutchman, wanted to be the first driver since Robert Doornbos in 2007 at San Jose to be a Dutchman to win a race in IndyCar. In 4th, Colton Herta led 29 laps after starting 3rd. Felix Rosenquist led 1 lap and finished 5th after starting 7th. Will Power finished 6th. Graham Rahal led 5 laps, finished 7th. Jack Harvey 8th. Scott Dixon was unable to capture the clinching race for the title, but he finished 9th. And teammate Marcus Ericsson finished behind him in 10th. Race 2, as Danny mentioned, was all Will Power. Will Power led 75 of the 75 laps from the pole. He obviously got the most laps sled award without any question. His 39th career win and his 81st career podium. In 2nd, Colton Herta, 4th career podium. And in 3rd, with his 24th career podium, Alexander Rossi. So well done for the Andretti boys. Josef Newgarden finished 4th, 4 spots ahead of Scott Dixon. Pato Award 5th, Jack Harvey 6th, Graham Hall 7th, Scott Dixon 8th, Alex Palou 9th, and Simon Pagenaud with the fastest lap finished 10th. So with that said, the next race will be the final race of the season on October 25th at the streets of St. Petersburg for the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg the 14th and final race of the 2020 season. There are now just 32 points.
Oof. Yeah.
That's definitely a slight margin.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember when the margin was about 120 points. I remember at that point, people are like, oh, Newgarden has no chance of catching. Closed it down from before, right after Mid-Ohio, it was 70 points. But after race 1, down to 40, now down to 32. He closed in just this weekend. He closed in 38 points. Josef Newgarden closed in 38 points in one weekend. Closing in 38 points, that means he's trying everything to get his third title. Which St. Petersburg, that's going to be an interesting race on the 25th of October.
And how many wins does Newgarden have there?
1.
Yeah, in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has 1 win there, which he almost lost that race because Marco Andretti, that lap car was in the way. I remember Marco's like in the way. I'm like, Marco, move! I remember I'm just yelling in my head, Marco, get out of the way. And
so, I know Dixon, coming into St. Petersburg now, Dixon doesn't have a win at St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
So, what is the best scenarios for Dixon to win the championship?
Oof, I don't know what the scenarios are yet. We'll know more before that race weekend. We'll know where Newgarden has to finish and where Dixon has to finish. We'll know.
I think you're in 40 point. IndyCar. You earn 54 points if you win and lead the most laps and get the pole. That's as many points as you could possibly get in one race.
Yeah, and right now the gap is 32 points. Is the gap between first and second points. So it just depends how their cars are. It just depends how their practice session's going to go, qualifying. We'll see when we get there because after one race, you can't tell how the performance of the car is going to be. It changes race to race. It's not like F1. F1, their cars, it's like Mercedes, any race you go to, the car is fast. It's not like in like IndyCar, NASCAR, you can't tell how good the car is going to be after the race. It's like you got to practice the car, feel it out to know how good the car is.
Right. So with that said, the point standings, it is obviously Scott Dixon, 502 points compared to 470 points. Josef Newgarden, 32 points.
Yep.
And third is Curta, but he's close to losing third in the championship to Will Power. Will Power had a brilliant weekend. Power fourth in points, 388 points. Pato O'Ward is fifth, 376 points. Graham Rahal, sixth. Graham Rahal has 354 points. Takuma Sato in seventh, 328 points. Simon Pagenaud in eighth, 311 points. In ninth, Alexander Rossi with a season he wished would have been different. But he's back in the top 10 in the championship, 305 points and 294 points, dropping a few positions. It's Felix Rosenqvist.
Yeah.
I mean, now we know what the 2021 schedule looks like for IndyCar. Expect some doubleheaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, and many races on NBC, including the opening race at St. Petersburg in March, will be on a regular NBC, which that is good for IndyCar, having the first race and final race on cable, like non-cable, like normal television, like the channels that people have.
Yes.
Compared to 2019, where the opening was on NBCSN, this time it's on NBC, which is good for the fans that don't have those networks, like NBCSN or like those networks that people don't have.
Right. So, question: Does Is the season finale at St. Petersburg again?
No. Next year we'll be back at Laguna Seca in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just for this year. They had to put St. Petersburg because they can't travel to the west right now because all that, the pandemic and stuff. So Laguna Seca will be the final race of the season again. And before that, Portland will be 2 weeks before which Long Beach is back on the schedule. Other tracks are not, but there's tracks that are returning back on the schedule. Indy Road Course is going to have many races again. Oh, jeez. The Indy Road Course has too many races.
But one of them will include a very special race weekend
in August.
Yes, the Brickyard Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah.
I like to call it that until they have an actual name.
Yeah, because Brickyard 400 doesn't, and if people don't watch, if people don't know that if people like playing video games, NASCAR Heat 5, they added the Indy Road Course for the Xfinity cars. It's an interesting. I played it, and it's an interesting one. Interesting track.
All right. Speaking of Indy, there was one more race to cover, and that is the Intercontinental GT World Challenge. The Intercontinental GT Challenge made their second race of the season. Now, hear me out. The IGTC has multiple challenges, world challenges. There's World Challenge America, World Challenge, excluding the Liquid Moly Bathurst Roval. There's also part of the Australia Endurance Championship just for other classes in the race on that event, but specifically GT World Challenge America in Europe. So this race counted as the GT Challenge America, the World Challenge for the 8 hours of Indianapolis.
Yep.
And boy, was BMW strong. Can you believe that 300 laps were completed in 8 hours and only the 2 BMWs finished on the lead lap? The number 34 Walkenhorst Motorsport BMW M6 GT3, driven by Augusto Farfus, Nicky Katzberg, and Connor DeFilippe, finished first, while the 35 Walkenhorst Motorsport car, driven by Nick Yellowlead, David Pittard, and Martin Tomczyk, finished second.
Yeah, 41 seconds behind. They were on the same lap, but then third was the Team Honda Racing Acura Honda NSX GT3 Evo. Finished a lap behind with drivers Mario Farnbacher, Dane Cameron, and Ranger Van der Zand. They finished a lap behind. Fourth, the number 31 Audi Sport Team Hardpoint WRT, driven by Marcus Winkelhock, Spencer Pompelli, and Mirko Bortolotti, finished 3 laps behind in fourth.
All right.
Fifth, just looking, there's only
Fifth
2.
Was the winner of the Pro-Am class, the DXGT racing entry, with George Kurtz, Colin Brown, and Ben Keating in the number 04 Mercedes AMG GT3. They completed 295 laps, winning that race. And just to go through the Pro-Am class real quick, is the number 1 Scuderia Corse Ferrari that finished second, and third, the number 75 Sun Energy One Racing Mercedes AMG third, and not classified out of the race was the number 63 DXGT Racing Mercedes. They had a lot of trouble, especially during the rain, when they went off on the track about 3 times in one lap, which rubbed the stewards the wrong way.
Yeah.
All right, just 2 more classes. The only Silver Cup class car that ran the race was the number 20 Wright Motorsports Porsche Max Fred Portad and Jan Halen. Jan
Halen,
Porsche 911 GT3R, the only car that ran the Silver Cup, finished 6th overall in the race, and GT4 class was won. Boy, BMW was strong.
Yeah, the 82 BMW, the Bimmerwald car, driven by Bill Oberlin, Chandler Hull, and James Clay, over the number 438 BMW of ST Racing, driven by John Miller, Samantha Tan, and Nick Whitmer. finished second in that class.
Porsche Cayman in third, the number 2 GMG Racing entry. Fourth place, the number 33 Notland Racing by RS1 Aston Martin Vantage GT4. The entry that we saw, they had a few spins here and there. They actually were about one lap off the class leader at the end of the race, and then the fifth place car is the TRG, the Racers Group Porsche Cayman number 17. So there you have it. Standings are not, for some reason, I couldn't find the official standings. They aren't out just yet.
Yeah, and I was not the. My pick didn't go too well. I picked the 7 Bentley team. They finished in 17th overall, 6th in class, 40 laps down. Yeah, my pick. And I remember they were doing good until something broke when they spun. Something broke in the rear end of the car. I was not too happy. Yeah, that really sucked for the Bentley team. And there was 3 cars not classified. The 63 DXDT Racing. The number 6 Vital Speed. I remember this early on. Remember the 6 car? They spun into the wall early. And they still ran, but finished 202 laps down. And last place was the 3 Motorsports USA car. Michael McLean, Dan Rogers, and Michael Cooper. They were the first car out. DNC did not classify.
Qualify?
No, DNC did not classify. They didn't complete enough laps to classify in the race.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they finished last.
So that was the weekend wrap-up at Indianapolis. As for the Intercontinental GT World Challenge, their next race will be the 24 Hours of Spa on October 24th, 25th. 24 hours. It's actually 25 hours because Europe leaves summertime.
Yeah.
Like daylight savings time, how we call it here. So everybody turns the clock back 1 hour. The race will actually be a 25-hour race. It's ridiculous that something like this would only happen in 2020.
Hey, Joseph. You're talking about daylight savings time. Remember, we turn our clocks back 1 hour on November 1st. The day of Martinsville, we turn our clocks 1 hour backwards. Hopefully, the next podcast that nobody's tired. I remember last year people were tired. So hopefully this podcast, nobody's tired after the. Yeah.
And also, not to forget, the final race of the four race season for the World Challenge is the Kalami 9 hours at the Kalami Grand Prix circuit in South Africa on the 12th of
December, near Christmas time.
Yep.
But yeah, we're not near Christmas yet. People are still buying Christmas presents at this time. I don't know why.
October?
Yeah, my grandmother's already buying Christmas presents already.
Remember, Christmas starts after October 31st ends.
Oh.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right, and last but not least, before we get into the race previews, let's go ahead and talk about one race that did happen on a dirt track. The ARCA Menard Series penultimate race ran on it was the Howling Crow 100 at Illinois State Fairgrounds. This was a very dramatic turn of events that involved the championship contenders. But let's start off with the race winner. So leading every lap except for 102 laps from the pole, local favorite Ryan Unzinger won the race. In his own equipment, he's a veteran that has been in ARCA just for the dirt race. And for this race only.
Yeah, he really ran good. Like, I've seen Ryan Unzinger many times in ARCA races. Like, I remember 2018, I watched the dirt races. I remember seeing that 24 car run, and he was running up front. And him getting...
I think the last... Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Denny.
I was saying, I think the last dirt race I saw at ARCA was DuQuoin in 2018. That was the last time I watched the dirt race in ARCA. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, mine was also DuQuoin 2018, which I remember that race. The reason I remember about that race, Ryan Hunziker did spin on the restart, which I remember seeing, oh, he spun. I'm like, I didn't know too much until I searched who he was. And then when he got the pole, I'm like, okay, he got the pole. And Ty Gibbs was alongside, which Ty Gibbs' race didn't go too well compared to Hunziker's race. Hunziker led a lot of laps.
He led 102 of the 103 laps. In second place, Haley Diggins, the only other driver to lead in the race. She led 1 lap after starting 5th, driving for David Gillen. In third, Brett Holmes recovered from a near scare incident, the second to last restart involving 2 Venerini cars, the Corey Heim machine, and then Michael Self.
Oh,
unfortunate in this one. We'll get into Self in a minute. Taylor Gray finished 4th. Kelly Kofsky, another local favorite on the dirt tracks in the Midwest, finished 5th. 6th place, Mike Basham. 7th, Drew Dollar. In 8th, out of the race, 8th and 9th, Corey Heim and Michael Self. Michael Self was in this championship hunt, and now he's not in the good anymore. Just one more race.
Yeah, Kansas. The points? Yeah, and the points are not updated. Just to let you know, Racing Reference still has the Memphis points, because I remember it was 2 points after Memphis. They didn't update. It says 19 races, but they didn't update the points.
Well, I'm sure the point standings will look completely different sooner or later. The margin will grow.
Yes, I think it's going to be about 7 to 8 points. It's going to be higher than 2, but we don't know the points. Don't blame us. That's not iRacing. Racing Reference updates it. Not I don't know
iRacing.
No, iRacing does not control the points in ARCA. They never did. Ooh.
All right, let's go ahead and talk some previews. We have a lot of exciting action. Oh yeah, let's start with the Cup Series, the Charlotte Roval, round 32 of 36, the third and final race of the round of 12. And as you said, Justin, there is a 90% chance on Sunday.
Not just Sunday, Saturday for Xfinity also. So that's going to make it more interesting. And these Cup drivers they barely drove in the rain, but it's the first time running in the rain at the Roval.
You think that's going to be
which is very well going to be very sketchy.
Yeah, people with those wet tires and trying to, hopefully they don't end up in the barrier in turn 1. But it's going to be interesting for people trying to manage these, because if people don't know, wet tires have had different Xfinity races run. But these wet tires are not like the F1 wet tires. These tires are not the best with grip or anything. I remember an example. 2016 Mid-Ohio, where everybody spun off the track many times. Just the rain is going to basically affect the drivers.
All right. And the Xfinity Series, of course, the Charlotte course, the Roval, is the final race in the round
of 12 for the Xfinity Series.
The round of 12, the first round of the playoffs for them, in the 29th race of the season. Formula One will return to the Nurburgring for the first time in 7 years.
Yep.
Eiffel Grand Prix this time. The Nurburgring, the 4th different Grand Prix title at the Nurburgring history of holding F1 races. The 11th round of the 17th race World Championship. And as for sports car, there are 3 key events. The IMSA WeatherTech Championship will have the Charlotte Grand Prix for the first time in almost 20 years. Yeah, first time in exactly 20 years. The Charlotte Grand Prix, round 8 of 11. The European Le Mans Series, 4 hours of Monza. First time in 2 years. We'll see an endurance race with prototypes at Monza, 4 or 5. And the 24H Series will have a very interesting race, the 12 hours of Coppa Florio, round 6.
Which that race is also in the same time zone as Monza, if people don't know.
Yeah. Two-part event.
Yeah. Yeah, and the race is at 5 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, it's early morning for people that are in North America wanting to watch different races. F1 is not the baddest. It's 8:05 a.m., a little bit earlier than usual, but it's not that bad compared to... It's not bad like the races like Japan. Like, races in Japan would be at like 2 in the morning, or me being asleep before the lights went out at Australia in 2019.
Okay, guys, let's start off with a Roval, and obviously only 2 races were ran at the Charlotte Roval. So to give you a background for the Cup Series, 2018 was Ryan Blaney for Team Penske and Ford. It was the most dramatic finish that the Cup Series had in pretty much the entire decade. I mean, 2018 was home for dramatic finishes.
It was absolutely insane.
Yep. 2019 was an interesting finish with Chase Elliott. Everybody
winning.
I remember people thought, Chase choked the race right as he got the barriers in turn 1, but still rebounded to win, which was a really impressive drive of getting back up towards the field and getting that win at the Roval.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Remember when Elliot wrecked? I think I said there's something like, it's a wrap. That's it.
Oh yeah, I remember. And I also remember right as Bowman spun, you were like, oh boy, how am I gonna talk to Justin and all of that? I remember you because I was not the happiest when Bowman spun, but he still rebounded in that race, which that race last year was really interesting, but with a good chance of rain this time, this is gonna make it more interesting. Because this is not like the oval where they would usually postpone it, like they did in 2016 when they postponed the Friday Xfinity race to Sunday after the Cup race, and the Cup race was postponed from Saturday to Sunday. It's not like that situation. This is a road course, so they can race in the rain. They can't race with lightning. That's another story.
I was about to say.
Yeah, but with rain you can. It's going to be interesting seeing the wet tires with drivers that never raced in the rain with the wet tires on.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. I hope it stays raining, but as long as the thunder and lightning can.
Yeah, because the reason they can't. Yeah, because lightning is bad because the spotters, they're on top of they're on top of the spotter stand, which people are like, is it wood? No, it's actual metal. That's why it's dangerous. That's why when there's lightning, they bring the red flag out and everybody takes cover until the lightning.
Fans in the stands, of course, of metal seats don't do.
Yeah, because there is a limited number of fans at the Roval. It's not full capacity. No, we're not there yet.
We're getting there. Slowly but surely.
Yeah, just be patient with this. But everybody could watch on TV. It's on NBC. Which is good for.
That's if it stays a usual, distance.
What? It's so weird how Fox just. Remember Talladega last year, which was an interesting thing. Talladega, instead of keeping it on NBC, they brought it to NBCSN on Monday. The Daytona, even Cup races that are originally on Fox, like.
Well, you're not going to put the Daytona 500 on FS1, are you?
No, but remember Bristol in 2017? Remember the Bristol race that got postponed to Sunday, Joseph, in 2017? That was still on Fox on Monday, which was... Fox is better with doing postponed races on their own network, not putting it on FS1. NBC's like NBCSN or CNBC or whatever network takes it. Ooh.
Yeah, and let's talk. Actually, before we talk Xfinity, let's make a few predictions for the Cups, for the Cup side of things. Who will win the Roval race at Charlotte, the road course event?
Okay, I have my stats in front of me, so I don't have to search up my stats. I already got them ready. Okay, my pick. This driver has, in 2 races here, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 2 top 20s, no laps led here. He has an average finish of 2.5.
I know where this is going.
His best finish is 2nd. His worst finish is 4th. So he has the best average finish from any active driver. I know Jay Murray has the best average, but he's not active. This driver, he fought a lot last year in that one Roval race, from spinning on lap 1, getting into Bubba Wallace. He had also a cold also, and he was cramping up and all that. Alex Bowman is going to win at the Roval.
I knew where this was going. Alex Bowman might win in the Roval. Here's my take.
Oh, jeez. Hopefully not a back marker.
This driver...
Oh, jeez.
This driver has poor luck at the Roval and almost won the race. He won at least one time. He won once this year, and could really use a good closing to the round of 12. Martin Truex Jr. with 19 victory lane.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go with Kyle Busch. I'm like, wait. Right as you saw her to win, I'm like, no, that's not Kyle Busch. He hasn't won yet.
Martin Truex Jr. is not a bad road course racer. A lot of people forget how many wins does he have at road courses?
He won at Sonoma in 2013, 2018, and 2019. So 3 wins at Sonoma. He won at Watkins Glen in 2017. So that's 4 wins at road courses, which is really good. Because I know some drivers that have never... It's like Dale Jr. He's good at every other track. The road courses, his best finish at a road course was 3rd. Like, there's some drivers that are better on ovals than road courses. Some are good just at road courses, like Marcus Ambrose, but there's other drivers that are good at both sorts of tracks.
Especially with the 2021 schedule being announced, it is more important than ever to have a good sort of skill on road course racing, more than ever in the history of the NASCAR Cup Series.
Yeah, and another driver that's really good at road courses recently is Chase Elliott. When him going to those road courses will help him. And people are like, oh, NASCAR's turning to F1. I'm like, F1 does not race at 7.
NASCAR's turning to touring car racing with the...
But, like, NASCAR's still racing at a lot of ovals. So if they're racing at 7 road courses, like, that means there's still 29 ovals. 29 ovals is enough. Like, people don't like turning right. I'm like, turning left kind of gets boring after a while. You don't want to always turn left. But, like,
you have to be your own road course ringer now.
Yeah, and, like, some drivers are decent at road courses. I've seen even oval drivers that are really good on ovals be good at road courses, too. Like, I remember a good road course racer that people say he's not that good at road courses.
4 of his 8 race wins are on road courses.
But there's another driver who did some interesting maneuvers at road courses. Do you want to know who the first driver was to have the foot cam? Ricky Rudd. He did this technique, the
heel toe.
Yeah, which is really interesting. Like,
that's something you see only in sports car racing at one point. Or
Formula 1. Yeah, and like you see him, like when he raced at road courses, he was always there. You would be if he was behind if he was right behind you, you would be worried because he might pass you at any moment. If you made a little mistake, he would be by you.
Or at one point, thanks to a video by Flashback to the Track, go give Flashback to the Track a subscribe on YouTube. He's a great content creator. He did like about an hour video on road course ringers in NASCAR and the prime of road course ringers. And Flashback to the Track is actually from Canada, and when Ron Fellows raced for
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt and Joe Nemechek in the Cup Series, he would always have like a top five qualifying run, and just everybody wanted those road course ringers. But now you got to be your own road course ringer.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr. Just throwing names here. Don't forget about Kevin Harvick. He's a decent road ringer. Or not road ringer, but a decent road course racer.
Yeah, like also with road courses, it's not like an oval where you're always in fourth gear. You're not always at fourth gear. You've got some corners at some tracks, like example, Coda, you might be going to first gear. Like you'll be going through first, second, third, and fourth gear. You'll be switching gears a lot, managing your brakes. Some tracks there's tight hairpins. Like some tracks have that. Some tracks are different. Like the Indy road courses, there's not many.
More about braking over there.
Yeah, like there's some tracks that have so much braking. Like another Coda looks like there'll be a lot of braking point. Turn 1 is going to be the hill, that tight turn 1. That's going to be interesting when NASCAR goes to Coda with people braking and
Circuit of the Americas debut up in.
Oh, it's going to be an interesting.
I can't wait. I can't wait for 2021.
Yep.
So I guess our picks are out, but since this is the final race of the round of 12, let's name 4 drivers that will be on the outside at the end of this race and will no longer compete for a championship this year. Who will they be?
For me, my 4 that are out, first one is Aric Almirola. About Aric Almirola, I know he's a good driver, but that race at Talladega really hurt him. And the thing about the Roval, he's not been that good at the Roval. I know there's only been 2 races, but with the rain added there, that's going to make it harder to reset the Roval. And another driver, Clint Bowyer. Bowyer, he needed a good run at Talladega. He crashed out also, but the thing about Clint Bowyer, he does have an average finish at the Roval, impressive 3.5. But the season he's been too inconsistent. And he needs points. If he does, he's going to be in the back again because of all the different components in the qualifying procedure. And if it's raining, the rain's not going to help him trying to get through the front. You'll have to manage and make sure you don't push the car too hard, because people will be sliding in every corner. Another driver I have, Austin Dillon. He's not the best on road courses, and he's not the best at the Roval. And my last driver to be out, he is below the cut line. He has an average finish of 34.2. Kyle Busch. And if you don't know why, his best finish here at the Roval, both races here, he retired, and his best finish in the race was 32nd in 2018. But, other than that, Kyle he's been qualifying good. But the race, he just can't finish it. He's always falling back because of pit stops, or just him trying to move up the field and get damage from incidents, which, with the rain, it's going to make it harder for him to get through the field with that 18 car. All
right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give out my predictions of the 4 drivers that will not proceed to the round of 8. You're going to be surprised when I say this. Joey Logano. Plus 21. There's going to be at least one driver above the cut line that might just make a mistake.
But, so you have him?
I have him. I don't. You see, Kurt Busch winning at Las Vegas really shakes things up in the standings. If it was maybe like the Benedetto or Ryan Blaney, someone else that won, it would have been a whole different ball game. But
Kurt Busch winning basically jumbled up everyone at where the points are. Okay, interesting pick. I
think Kyle Busch is going to make it to the next round. He's going to have a miraculous day in stage points.
Miraculous. Last time we went to a track with no qualifying in a race was Daytona. He crashed out of the race. But, like, it just depends how he does in the rain. It's the rain part. If it starts raining, like, the rain is basically, he has to manage himself in the rain. He doesn't want to push it too hard where you don't want to push your car too hard in the rain and you get loose in a corner and hit the wall. You don't want to do something like that. He'll have to try to manage his race.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have Logano. Who else are you going to have out?
And with that said, the two other drivers I have out. So Logano is out. Austin Dillon.
Yeah, Austin.
Clint Boyer and Eric Amarala will not make it as well.
Yeah, like Eric Amarala, it's just Talladega didn't really help him. Boyer's just like, I know people say Boyer's a good driver, but this season Boyer's inconsistency, like you've seen his results. Some weeks he's running in the front. Next week he's running like 20th. That's the thing. He's too inconsistent. And Austin Dillon's not the best on road courses either. Plus, with the rain, is going to make it more interesting with him running in the rain. It's going to be interesting.
With that said, let's go ahead and talk about the Xfinity Series stats at the Charlotte Roval. Only 2 races were ran in the ISU Cup. It was Chase Briscoe, who won for Stewart-Haas Racing, and Biaggi John Beste. And Ford, AJ Allmendinger won for Colleague Racing last year, and Chevrolet.
Yep.
This is the 29th race of the 33-race season, and as for the playoffs, it's the first round, the round of 12, the final race of the Xfinity Series, round of 12 in the playoffs. So 8 drivers will be determined. Let's pick our winners.
Okay, my pick for this race, this driver, he's never won at this track. He has, in 2 starts, he has 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 2 top 20s, 14 laps led, a pole, and an average start of 2.0. This driver had a bad race when he was trying to get down pit road and crashed his car into the inside wall. This driver drives the number 22 for Team Penske. Austin Cindric is going to win at the Roval.
I was about to say what you said. Austin Cindric will win this race. He was going to put on a clinic, especially if it rains. It might
Yeah, because the rain is going to make it interesting. An interesting fact, because AJ Allmendinger only ran 1 Roval race last year. He has the best average finish of 1.0. He'll try to make that 2. He'll try to get another one, but the rain's going to make the race interesting. When AJ's not going to be too far ahead. He's going to be not like last week. Well, he was 36, but this week he is in the car. But his finishing position is going to affect him, so he'll be starting about the mid-20s. Yeah.
Right. All right. So before we talk Formula One, let's just go ahead and discuss sports cars, since the Charlotte Roval will host the Charlotte Grand Prix, the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and I would like to find an entry list for that.
Folks.
Only the GT classes are in this race.
Yeah, the GT Daytonas and the GT Le Mans cars.
Right, and in fact, there is some history about the Charlotte Grand Prix. The first time since 2000 that a sports car race will be held at the Charlotte Road Course. So the first...
There, I just sent the entry list, Joseph. So
Dave Hines and Or Costanzo won in a Chevrolet Corvette back in 1971 for a Piedmont 3-hour endurance race in the 1971 IMSA GT Championship. And as for the last time there was a race, it was in 2000 for the BMW Motorsport team in the BMW V12 LMR just a legendary Le Mans prototype back in the American Le Mans Series. The drivers were J.J. Leto and Georg Mueller.
Yeah, and this race is actually not 2-hour race. It's an hour 40 minutes. It's total of 100 minutes is the race for these, because it's only 2 classes. Only 18.
Europe for another week.
Just looking through. Okay. Just looking through.
So let's start off with the GTLM class. Welcome back, Porsche. They are on the entry list. 18 cars overall. So 6 cars in the GTLM category, 2 Corvettes, 2 BMWs, and 2 Porsche for the LMGTEs. And then the GTD classes will consist of 12 GT3s. And then that will consist of what we have for the race. Let's get into some other stats here. Al Hulbert's the only driver to have multiple wins at the Charlotte Grand Prix, and his team, Hulbert Racing, has 2 wins. So only one team has 2 wins. But as for constructor victories, Porsche has 4 wins over Mark with 2. They had 2 wins. Chevrolet Corvette 1 win. Spider 1 win. Lola and BMW also have 1 win. BMW, of course, the last race when they had the Le Mans prototype.
Yeah. Okay. For me, my GT LM pick. This car, this team has won many times recently, but it's not the car that's been winning. My pick is the number 4 Corvette Racing Corvette C8R, driven by Oliver Gavin and Tommy Milner, is my GTLM pick.
BMWs are just strong for some reason these last few weeks of sports car racing. We saw with them winning the 24 Hours of Nurburgring. Nicky Katzberg was part of the team, and Nick they came to Indy, finished 1-2. One of the drivers that was part of Nicky Katzberg's winning crew included Connor DeFilippe. He's driving the 25 with Bruno Spangler, the Canadian driver in the BMW M8 GTE. And BMW Team RLL will win with the number 25 entry.
Okay. My pick for the GT Daytona class. This team, they didn't have a good mid-Ohio. They finished towards the back. My pick is the number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW M6 GT3, driven by Bill Oberlin and Robbie Foley.
That's interesting. Oberlin won for BMW at Indy yesterday in a GT4. But I'm going to go ahead and just look a little bit differently here. This will be the Meyershank Racing with Curb Agajani in entry number 86, Matthew McMurray, Mario Farnbacher, number 86 in the Acura NSX GT3 with a HPD Honda power development engine. So yeah, there we go. Well, let's go ahead and preview 2 more endurance races. The 4 hours of Monza. So the 4 hours of Monza will be the penultimate race of the European Le Mans Series season in 2020.
Yeah.
So here's some interesting backgrounds of this race. The 4 hours of Monza was last ran by G-Drive Racing, the Oreca 07. Andrea Pizzitola, Jean-Eric Verne, and Roman Rusinov for G-Drive Racing picked up the win. And they need to make something happen. Of course, it's all United Autosports this year. I think they should just clinch it at this point.
Yeah.
But the 4 hours of Monza was first ran back in 1949. Bruno Sterzi won in a classic Ferrari 166S in 1949. It was a non-championship race, and it was only at the 6.3 kilometer, 3.9 mile circuit at that time in history. So most wins 3 times. Jackie X, most team wins. Scuderia Ferrari at home, 9 victories, and Ferrari for the most manufacturer. I mean, it's home. What else do you expect? And with that said, for the entries that are in this year's race, there are a lot of prototypes. Can anyone stop United Autosports?
Okay, I got my pick. My pick is the number 32 United Autosports car. The other car, driven by Will Owen, Alex Brundle, and Job Van Eetert. The number 32 will win in LMP2. That's my pick in LMP2.
Well, for my pick in LMP2, I'm going to have to go with car number 22. It seems like every race they've ran in the calendar year 2020, they finished first. And in this situation, it's this trio. They won Le Mans in September. The 22 United Autosport Oreca 07 Gibson, they're going to win. They have Goodyear Actually, they have Michelin tires, my bad. And the drivers, of course, Phil Hansen, Philippe Albuquerque. They're going to be driving this time around.
Yeah, only 2 drivers in that car.
All the rest is out broadcasting for F1.
Yeah, F1's at Nurburgring this weekend. Okay, my pick for LMP3. My pick is the number. My pick's the number 9, Graf Racing Ligier, driven by Vincent Capillier, Arnold Robin, and Maxim Robin.
So for my pick in the LMP3 class, I'm going to go with the number 5 Graf entry, Eric Choulier, Louis Saint-Juan, and Sebastian Paget. So going with the underdogs here.
Okay, for me, my LMGTE pick. My pick is the number 77 Proton Competition, driven by Christian Reed, Michel Beretta, and Alessio Picariello. Yep.
LMGTE. There are only 7 entries in this race, so it's a prototype. It's a prototype dominated event, but I'm gonna go with this entry right here. This is gonna be close, but I'm going to take the number 55, Spirit of Race Ferrari. Duncan Cameron, Matthew Griffin, and Aaron Scott are the drivers behind the wheel of that car. And, this is Monza. Monza is synonymous with Ferrari, and Spirit of Race did win the last the 55 car won the last time the ELMS was ran with the Paul Ricard for the 4 Hours of Le Castel Part 2.
Yeah.
Which was way back in August. Boy, does time fly. Oh, it was actually the Le Castel 240.
Yeah. That was the last event from that series.
And lastly, the 24H Series, racing at the Autodromo di Pergusa in Pergusa, Italy, for the Coppa Florio 12 Hours of Sicily. It's a interesting race. The first time that this track is being held. It's a very unique circuit.
Yeah.
If just by looking at the map, I've never seen a race there before, but it looks like we'll have a lot of high-speed corners here. A lot of time on the gas.
Yeah. It's going to make the racing interesting. It's going to be an interesting one if people, hopefully the people that don't live there, like people that are like in North America, if they want to watch it from start to finish, they'll have to wake up at 5 a.m. Eastern time. But that's going to be an interesting race.
All right, so I'm just looking at the entries that are there and the classes. 24 cars overall, which is part of reality when it's hard to find that many entries. We have GT3 Pro, GT3 AM, 3 entries in the GT3 Pro, 3 in the GT3 AM. GTX has 2 entries from the same team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like the reason it's like that, there's some teams money-wise and also travel restraints. Some teams can't travel.
So with that said, I'm going to go pick for the GT3 Pro class the GPX Racing Porsche 911 GT3R, Frederick Bastian, Jordan Gregor, Matthew Jaminet, and Robert Renauer are the drivers of the wheel of that number 36 car.
Okay. My pick is the number 7 Dynamic Motorsports entry. They're in a Porsche, driven by Roberto Panini, Mauro Calamia, Stefano Monaco. That person's not related to Monaco. And Matteo Malucelli in the GT3 Pro class.
You know, when it comes to GT3 AM, I'm going to go with experience here. Shane Lewis, American veteran, the CP Racing Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo, number 85. I have them winning. Joe Foster, Charles Espelab, Charles Putman. Those are American sports car veterans.
Okay. For me in the GT3M, I'm picking the number 88 Car Collection Motorsports Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo, driven by Michael Doppelmayr, Pierre Kaffer, Ilya Earhart, and Hendrik Still.
All right, yeah, Pierre Kaffer's a very good driver for Audi, and he's a factory driver. Been with them since DTM, and it's got a class win at Le Mans back in 2009. So you're picking some pretty good talent there. GTX class, I guess there's only 2 entries, the 793, 794. I'll go with the 794 because Rick Brookhurst is in 2 cars in the same race, and I guess that's going to give him the
For me on my entry list, they're in the GT3 Pro class.
Yeah, he's also in the 794 Dynamic Motorsport GTX.
793 and 794 are now in the GTX class now in the GT3 Pro, which is interesting.
Very interesting. 991 class car won overall. The last time it was the 16 Hours of Hockenheim race.
991. What car am I gonna pick?
I'm just gonna go with the obvious here, the 991 car that won the race. You know, last time it was. Oh, they're not even in it this time. They're not on the entry list.
Oh, that's gonna help.
I have to read the entry list.
For me, okay, I got my pick. My pick is the number 916 Team Tempo, not Team Tempo S.R.L, driven by Giuseppe Nicolasi, Michele Merendino, David DiBenedetto, no, not related to Matt DiBenedetto, and Simone Patrinicola.
Yeah, I'm going to go with experience here, and the 923 car has exactly that. The Fulgenzi Racing entry, 923 of Alessandro Giovanelli, Pablo Otero, Walter Pozzallo, and Jerome Blinkebollen. So that's just going to – I feel like, you know, you can put money down for experience. There's your experience. Jerome Blinkebollen knows how to get it done in endurance races. So there's that. GT4 entry, there's only 3 cars this time around, and I think it's going to be the 401 Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT4, the 401 entry for Pro Sport Performance AMR. I think they're the best team to go out with this one.
Okay. For me, my pick in the GT4 class is the number 451 Team Avia Sword Rene Sport, driven by Alvaro Fontes, Jose Manuel de los Milagros, Sergio Polet, and Carlos Martinez de Campos.
CCR class, 2 more classes left. 2 more classes left is the TCR. So the TCR class is basically the touring car class with the FIA TCR regulations. I'm going to go with for the Brucos team, in this one, the Red Camel Jordans.NL, Seat Cupra TCR. I know Autodrama is usually the team to beat here. I just think it's going to be Seat this time around.
Hey, Joseph, my pick is not one of those two. My pick is the number 188 AC Motorsport Audi RS3 LMS DSG, driven by James Kai, Ricky Comber, and Marcus Menden. Okay, TCX has 1 car.
Yeah, so it's the
so we know who's gonna. Yeah, that car's obviously gonna win in that class. So there's only 2 cars in the PX class, the 45 and 206.
Yeah. Wolf Racing cars. Avalon Formula entry number 45, or the DF Racing Ligier to number 206, and I think those are experimental cars. If I'm not mistaken, they are. They are basically prototypes. Yeah. They're customized prototypes.
Interesting.
They could be winning this race overall. I mean, I don't know if they have as much speed as the
I don't know
3 cars have, but we'll have to find out.
We'll see after.
And this is a 2-part race, mind you.
Yeah, part 1 is Saturday at 5 a.m. Eastern in North America. Part 1 and part 2 starts at the same time.
So I guess for PX class, I'll go with the number 206 on this one. I think Ligier will do a little bit better, although I do like the look of the Wolf GB08 Tornado, which actually was one of the more successful cars in the Italian Prototype Championship, believe it or not. How fast will that car go around? We see in the chat here, Bronson of Optimus. Sup, guys? Here's my rant about the finish. Give Hamlin a penalty, give Jones the win, and everyone can walk home happy.
For me, it just doesn't matter. The thing I'll say, move on to the Roval. That's what I've been saying to people. Move on to the Roval.
I think whether you call it a pass or illegal.
For me, it's just, at least the race is done. It was completed. For me, if the race is done, they can't do anything if the race is done.
Unless it's the 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah, which they put the race in the wrong order until a couple days later they found out that Fisichella was leading, and the next race at Imola, they gave the trophy, the winner's trophy, to Fisichella.
Carlo Fisichella.
That was one of the weirdest finishes, which Alonso tried to charge for the lead, and he went too hard and crashed out in his Renault. The podium was interesting in 2003 at Brazil.
Right. Because the red flag rules in Formula 1 last completed lap.
Yeah, and they thought the last was 53, but they just know Fisichella was on lap 54 when the red flag, on lap 56, the red flag came up, but they know he started the 54th lap. That's why they went to 54 laps.
But in this case, it was a tough call by NASCAR.
Yeah, but it's just race is over. They can't do anything right now. They had the results. It's finalized, and every driver will just head to the Roval and try to get a win.
Yeah. Okay. With that said, we covered Formula. We had to cover Formula 1. We covered sports car racing.
Yeah, I was about to say we didn't cover Formula One yet.
Oh no, we're gonna get there now.
Yep.
So yeah, the Formula One World Championship had very interesting components in this last. Now we learn Mercedes, they're staying, but as for the engine plants, Honda is going after 2021.
Yeah, which is gonna be which is interesting for what those two teams, which is the AlphaTauri, Scuderia AlphaTauri. If people don't know, it's Toro Rosso, but now AlphaTauri and Red Bull Racing. It's gonna be interesting what the engines they're gonna choose. Somebody said choose Ferrari engines. I'm like, at least it's after 2020. Like 2022, those engines are supposed to be better than the 2020 engines. Hopefully, this current engine for Ferrari is still not better. People said Ferrari got new upgrades again. I heard that Ferrari got upgrades again. I don't know how effective they are.
But here's the thing: Honda leaving.
Yeah, and they actually signed an extension contract in IndyCar with Chevrolet.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
And the Honda and Chevy, they signed an IndyCar. IndyCar will have a new hybrid engine power system.
Yeah.
I think 2023 it will begin.
Yeah. That's interesting that teams like Honda, they signed contracts to be in IndyCar with Chevrolet.
Right.
Honda and F1, they're leaving after 2021.
But after how many years they've been racing in Formula One since the debut, ironically, the 1964 German Grand Prix, which is at Nurburgring, the first Honda race as a manufacturer, and 453 entries and 452 starts. I'm just reading off Wikipedia here to make things quick.
Yeah, and like
their engines consist of 6 World Constructors Championships and 5 World Drivers Championships. Recently, 1991. It's been a long time since Honda has achieved those honors.
Yeah, like about Honda, now they're really good with their engines, like for the Red Bull team. Their old when they had the Honda engine and the McLaren, that was another story of how bad it was.
A lot of people thought that Honda would make things work really well with McLaren.
Oof. I heard that I heard the engines were not fuel efficient, so Jensen buying it, or the 2015 the GP2 engine at Japan, the car was so slow. Fernando said GP2 engine. Yeah, the car. Oh, I remember that McLaren.
At the same time, Honda power engines have done pretty good. So the last few years, but it seems like where they're going in the future, just like if I would give like a tiering system for how engines are in 2020, for Mercedes is obviously number 1. Nobody's beating them. Honda would be number 2. Renault's actually would be 3. Ferrari engines are not. They're not doing what they want. No. Even the people say, "Oh, it's just the Ferrari team." I'm like, Haas and Alfa Romeo are not doing the best either with those engines in their cars. So yeah, Ferrari's, but Honda's been good recently when they joined the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri team. Yes, they got better before compared to what McLaren had to deal with. Oh, I remember McLaren with those days with the Honda engine. Yeah. Slow engine. The car was heavy. No, not fuel efficient either. Not even a good fuel load. Yeah, that was. Those McLaren fans had to deal with all that. So that said, now we have the Eiffel Grand Prix at the Nurburgring. It's the first time that Formula One will have a Grand Prix at the Nurburgring track since 2013, the German Grand Prix, which was won by the 2013 world champion, which is one of the most dominant seasons ever. Sebastian Vettel, of course, won his fourth consecutive championship and his most recent one to this day. It's the inaugural Grand Prix under the Eiffel name.
Yeah.
The Nurburgring track this is the fourth Grand Prix under that is held at the Nurburgring circuit. The German Grand Prix was held from 1950 to 1954, 56 to 58, and 61 to 69, 71 to 76 on the Nordschleife, the full Nürburgring Nordschleife. And was crash, which was one of the most hazardous situations and luckiest escapes in a driver's career.
Yeah, and that's why they're not running at the Nürburgring anymore. And also, it's too long.
Right, but they created the Grand Prix circuit in response and returned. And but as for the German Grand Prix, 1985, 2009, 2011, and 2013. But in the European Grand Prix, which was also held at the Nürburgring circuit, 1984, 1995, 1996, 1999, and 2007. The Luxembourg Grand Prix was held at the ring in 1997 and 1998.
I just remember the 2007 European Grand Prix. I just remembered what happened in that race.
That was chaotic.
Yeah, with everybody going off, including both Toro Rossos. Which one of them was Scott Speed? Yeah, that race where people went off. Yeah, it was really interesting.
It was pretty.
It was wet conditions.
It was wacky.
Yeah, with a lot of people just sliding off the track, which really didn't. I just remember everybody sliding off the track. It's like
I wasn't watching F1 just yet.
Me neither, but I just remember watching a video about Scott Speed about him in F1 and
Josh Revel video.
Yep, it was the thing of what the
content creator.
Yeah, he made the same video about Mahavir Raghunathan.
Yeah, I do remember that.
He was explaining about Scott Speed's career and stuff, and Scott Speed and a lot of drivers went off the track, and it was an interesting event with all the rain on the track.
Yeah, it took Jensen Button and Adrian Stuttle, Nico Rosberg, Scott Speed,
Lewis Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Oh, yeah, just a lot of people just sliding through the corners with all that.
Hamilton missed out on points, so it's really cost him in the Drivers' Championship. He lost 1 point to Kimi Räikkönen in that season.
Also, China, where he stalled in the gravel trap coming to pit road, that also didn't help at all.
Right. But just going back to where we're at today, this is the first time in the Turbo V6 hybrid era that Formula One will race the Nürburgring circuit. So there's a lot of new things to take into consideration here for these constructors.
And also,
let's look at the World Championship. Justin, let me hear what you have there.
I was about to say there's some drivers that have never raced at this track. Some have experience, Lewis Hamilton, Vettel, and some of these guys. Some don't. Max Verstappen, some of these drivers don't have much experience.
They may have experience at Nürburgring, but it depends on which version of the Nürburgring it is and what kind of car they drove.
But it's like Bottas only had one start there. That was in a underpowered Williams. I know Williams is underpowered now, but the 2014 Williams was better than the 2013 Williams. Was just not a good car. They had the Renault power, and that car was bad. Same as the Lotus in 2014. That car was not a good car to drive.
No, it was a different season, a different ball game.
Yeah.
But in terms of the Constructors' Championship and the World Drivers' Championship, I know in the battle for fourth right now, Lando Norris, 1 point over Alexander Albon, and then with 63 points, so 65 points of Norris, 64 points Albon, Danny Ricciardo, 63 points. 3 drivers, 2 points apart. And then the battle for 7th in the World Drivers' Championship is also close. I mean, you're Charles Leclerc. You can gain.
Yeah. It's just, the thing about Leclerc, it's just, I know that he's a good driver, but it depends about, I know there's parts that have good corners, but there's some parts of the Nurburgring track with long straights, which the Ferrari has been proven to not be good in the straights again. But we will see how powered the Ferrari is on the straight. Hopefully it's not Monza or Belgium, where they were like Monza. Vettel was slower than the Sonny in FP1, which was a little bit Hopefully their cars are not. It just depends how their car is going to act.
Exactly.
Yeah, and people will have to get a feel for the track. Like Verstappen, like these rookies have never raced an F1 car. We'll have to basically before doing
the best are rookies,
but they'll have to basically. They don't want to push it too hard and have an incident.
All right. Now, the World Constructors Championship definitely took a turn for the worse for McLaren as they had, for the first time this year, a double non-points finish at the Russian Grand Prix last week. And they're just 2 points ahead of the Racing Point entry. Of course, they were faster before the point deduction after car legality was discovered during that investigation earlier this year. Racing Point beat up Mercedes. It's just 2 points behind McLaren Renault.
Which
that spot.
We'll see how. It just depends about how good their cars are. Like,
has a pretty decent history at the Nurburgring. He last drove for McLaren Mercedes at one point. So
like, it just depends how good their cars are compared to the
Perez. I don't know why I said Sainz.
I was about. Like Perez, he's driving the Racing Point, which they're fast with the tracks that they're in favor is the tracks with straights. Nürburgring has pretty good straights. Like you've seen a lot of straights, which if you haven't seen the Racing Point, they're not fast as Mercedes because Mercedes has the W11. They have Mercedes last year's car, which is the W10. But still, they're faster. They're not the fastest team out there. Nobody's going to beat Mercedes.
I mean, it's not a wrap.
But
you have to run the full distance.
But like I just feel like Lewis, he has so much experience at the track. Yeah, he's run there many times compared to Vettel. I don't know if he might have a chance to get points, but it just depends the speed of the car. Because I remember in qualifying at Mugello, he even asked, "Did we make it out of Q1?" That's how. And he's not confident with the Ferrari. Ferrari's not.
I don't think anybody had a confidence boost leaving Mugello, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, Justin, will Lewis Hamilton tie Michael Schumacher at the home of Mercedes in Germany?
I feel like he can. For me, I say Lewis Hamilton because, one, he has a lot of experience there compared to his teammate. Hopefully, he doesn't get penalties that we don't know about until the race starts. Hopefully, everything goes smoothly during practice and qualifying. Hopefully, everything goes good there. Because Lewis, he has experience at the track, except, like, he has the experience, which is a good thing for Lewis Hamilton. And he's in a Mercedes, which are fast on straights and corners. Like, Mercedes is good in the fast-paced corners. Like, they're also good under braking.
Let's not forget, Lewis Hamilton did win the German Grand Prix at this track in 2011.
Yeah, and he's gonna. I know Mercedes are gonna be good. Him and Bottas have been just qualifying 1 and 2, and they're been practicing really good, and their race pace is really good. So Mercedes is gonna be pretty hard to beat. For the Red Bull team's gonna be hard to beat them. Red Bull's gonna be trying everything, and then Racing Point, maybe they'll be decent. I don't know.
Will they come out third in the World Constructors Championship? That's the next question.
Yeah, because they'll have to catch the McLaren team and Renault. Like, Renault's behind them, but they basically want to try to beat Renault. Both cars, hopefully this time Lance Stroll doesn't get turned off turn 2. Hopefully that doesn't happen, or Sainz doesn't hit the wall, which nobody expected him to retire by hitting that wall.
Right. All right. So there's that. I think we have everything covered for Formula One.
Hey, Joseph, who's your pick?
Who's my pick? I'm going with Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
Easy.
We'll
be back for episode 80.
And somebody actually said Vettel was going to win. I actually saw somebody put a Ferrari 1-2. I'm like, no, that's not happening. There'll have to be a lot of issues.
They need a bunch of upgrades and luck.
Yeah, because without luck... And I remember people saying that Vettel would do a better job as team principal for Ferrari. Like, I was seeing all these, I'm like, wow.
All right. I think it's good for tonight. Unfortunately, I forgot to mention, apparently there'll be no fans at the Turkish Grand Prix. As far as I'm concerned, the original plan was to have 100,000 in attendance.
Yeah.
At Istanbul. It might not be the case this year. We'll keep you guys posted on our social media.
Also, I want to say for fans that the final race for the ARCA East and Modified Tour is this weekend. ARCA East race is on Saturday night at Pensacola, and Sunday afternoon at Thompson Speedway is the Modified Tour finale for the season, just to let you know.
All right. Thanks for coming to watch the episode number 79 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. We will be back for episode number 80. Daniel Ford was here. We'll give him credit for joining my partner, Justin Hammer. I'm Joe Andy Pavlon. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.